Migration is a universal part of life on Earth. In the animal kingdom, the primal need for food and a hospitable climate drives many species to travel around the world. It's in our nature to move, to voyage to new, more sustainable lands. We migrate in search of prosperity for ourselves and for future generations. For centuries, the land of opportunity has welcomed the tired, the poor, the huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Unfortunately, nowadays, and throughout our history, immigration has been perceived as a threat to our way of life. And yet, America was built by immigrants. Curious about my ancestry and migrant roots, I decided to take a DNA test. To my surprise, I discovered that my ancestors came from 10 different parts of the world. Inspired by my discovery, I created a video embracing all of my ethnicities. My point was to prove that I am who I am because of natural migration. Quickly, the video went viral and received 17 million views in its first week of release. A few weeks later, I was approached by 3 DNA companies offering different sorts of sponsorships. And at that moment, I realized the power of social media. My husband and I started to discuss all the different opportunities that were coming our way and asked each other, what could we do with this? How could we expand our original idea? How could we show people that we all come from migration, that immigration is a natural process, that because of African Eve, the first traceable woman from whom all living humans descend, we are all related? Well, we came up with an idea. We would drive across the USA and DNA test as many people as we could in order to show them their true migrant roots. We pitched this idea to the DNA companies that had contacted us, and to our surprise, we found a person just as crazy as us that once thought of crossing North America by bus and delivering free DNA tests. We studied the migratory routes of the first American frontiers and decided to follow their paths. What you're about to see is our journey across North America on a quest to unravel the true roots of this immigrant country. We started our journey in Paterson, New Jersey, the most ethnically diverse of our states, with 40 different languages spoken in its classrooms. Paterson has the second largest Muslim population in the United States.
All we're asking you is to do the test. It's a couple of weeks' time when we're going to come back and just see what the results are.
This doesn't go to the cops or anything like that? No? Okay.
Initially, Mark didn't want to do the test.
I got some maniac people over here, they're trying to...
It's Australians and Colombians.
Australian people and Colombian people checking the DNA to see what's your root, what's your background.
But then he mentioned that just a month ago, his wife Regina discovered that she was adopted.
All you do, open this, on the side of your mouth, put it in, done.
That's it?
Super easy.
Just do that for 30 seconds?
Yep. All right, you're good.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to eject it into here. All right.
Mm-hmm. What do you think your heritage is so far?
My background's supposed to be Greek.
Greek?
Yeah.
With the DNA test, do you expect anything unusual in there?
Well, it could be possible of Spain,
Yeah.
based off the Arab people.
That's what I was thinking.
In Spain like about 400 years.
Yeah. This will take like 2 to 3 weeks to get back with the results.
Really, I would love to know at least like where I belong.
Yeah.
I have no idea at all.
So you have no,
that's
you have
so
no inkling other than the region in
Zero
Russia.
info. People told me that my mom could be a student from St. Petersburg. It's a big city, and a lot of international students. So, and plus, we all like mix up. So God knows.
Well, we'll see.
At what age did you leave your country?
I was 21 years old. I lived for a little while in Europe. I own my own business. I was happy, comfortable. But the reason why I come over here, it's the family. My parents have been here for a long time. My mother, my father, my sister, my other 3 brothers, the whole family is here.
I was not planning to come here. I just came because I was studying English and Spanish language, like supposed to be a teacher. But it's happened. I saw this guy. So it was.
Met him where?
Here.
She shocked me with the arrow, so that's why.
No.
With the bow.
With the Cupid. With the Cupid arrow.
No.
What is your advice to people and they want to migrate to fulfill their dreams?
So the best advice, be confident and don't be shy to speak for the accent. We're smart, we work hard, we do a lot more because we have to dig like this with our hands to get something.
Since the late 1960s, the city has suffered high unemployment rates, and competition from malls and neighboring towns have forced the big chain stores out of Paterson's downtown. The biggest industries now are small businesses like Mark's Bakery that help keep the economy of the city alive. As we left Paterson, I began to imagine how hard it must have been for the first migrants to come to America, to adapt to a new climate, food, and living conditions. I remember the first time I came to the States. I was 19 years old and barely spoke any English.
I was in Colombia and I had just finished shooting this TV series that it lasted 2 years. And I wanted more. I wanted to study acting, like the raw acting.
Yeah.
Not so much so theatrical, not so much driven to soap operas. I wanted like method acting.
Yeah.
And New York is where method acting was born.
From a very early age, I thought I was going to travel, but I always thought I'd come back to Australia. And at this point in time, having business in America, having a life and a wife, having a child in America, I don't think I'll be heading back to Australia anytime soon.
After leaving Paterson, New Jersey, such an ethnically diverse place, we drove southwest for 6.5 hours to our next destination, the predominantly white Wheeling, West Virginia. Due to its location along major transportation routes, Wheeling became a jumping-off point for people to trade across North America, making it the richest city per capita in America by the end of the 19th century. We made our way to the Blues Fest, where we met a very diverse group having a barbecue.
All right, so all you're going to do is swab the side of your cheek for 30 seconds, and then we're going to do the other cheek.
Do you know what is your heritage?
No. Clear. Well, the only thing I know is that I'm African American. That's like the easy answer, but no, I don't know too much about it. Now my parents, my dad will talk about like Irish, and then he'll talk about Native American stuff like that.
Okay.
But it's all like he say, she said stuff.
Okay.
So this is what makes it.
So you think you might have some African, some Irish, and maybe some Native American.
Right.
Have you personally noticed a difference since January about the way people treat each other, or have you seen a difference change?
I have.
Yeah.
I have seen it. I've seen it 2 different ways. I've seen it where it actually has brought people together. I have seen that. I see a lot of people, like African American women and men, getting closer together. But I do see that divide also. Mm-hmm. When, like for instance, with the athletes, you see how like all of a sudden the athletes are now being divided. Like they're all on one team, and they're like dividing them up. I think with the whole immigration thing, it makes people uncomfortable because they're not sure. And when you're unsure, all you can think of is fear. So what happens is a lot of people get fearful of the idea of bringing other people over from other countries.
Yes.
That's how I see it.
In 1861, as the United States became massively divided over slavery and regional issues, the western region of Virginia split politically with the eastern region, and the two were never reconciled as a single state again. While we were in West Virginia, we got the news of a riot happening right next to us in Charlottesville. One of the main reasons West Virginia gained its independence from Virginia was due to its different policies on regional issues and economic growth. East Virginia's economy was based on slavery, while the West was keen on technological progress, and its growing immigrant German population was firmly anti-slavery. Perhaps this can explain Virginia's history of racism and current increase of white nationalists neo-Confederates, and anti-Semitic tendencies. Isn't it both sad and interesting how history tends to repeat itself when we don't learn from it? Traveling from one state to the other, I couldn't help but wonder, what happened to the first American frontiersmen who came to this land in search of a better life? How did we go from Paterson's melting pot to this? What was the moment when man's ambition for greatness made him feel superior to other races?
I've been a migrant all my life, and I move every 5 years. I move to a different city, and because of what my parents taught me, you know, my parents were both adventurers and travelers, and they always let me see that there was not such thing as a color in a human being, or as a belief or a race. I was born with no religion, but at the same time, my parents taught me about all religions.
I mean, not my I come from very, very different as well, you know, because Australia is a white country.
Yeah.
You know, for me to come to New York.
Was it like a cultural shock when you moved to New York?
In hindsight, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the time I thought it was just crazy because it's like so many cultures coming together.
Our next stop was Independence, Missouri, 12 hours westward.
This is how we exercise in an RV while we drive.
Independence is pretty Caucasian. There's actually a large Hispanic population in Independence. Some parts of the inner city are heavily African American. I personally have no problem with immigration, and I know several people who have come here searching for a better life, and they've made that for themselves, and the hard work that they put in is pretty incredible. And then I think about how blessed I am to be here and want to be here and not have the desire to go anywhere else.
Yeah, I feel like I don't always know what we have because I've never left the country. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what we have is good and everybody, the American dream.
You've never been in Canada or?
No.
I don't even have a passport.
Really?
I want to.
No, I need to get one.
But it's kind of scary, you know, been born here and it was just there. And I've always think about the opposite end of that and what it would be like to want to go somewhere else.
What is your heritage?
All we really know is maybe German and maybe French Canadian. Then I didn't realize.
Why do you think French Canadian?
That's what Mom keeps telling me, but they can be wrong, so who knows?
We haven't heard any specific family members that are French Canadian.
Our great-grandmother's maiden name, her last name was
Gonzalez.
And we didn't know that, so it just was a unique last name.
So we might have some Spanish heritage that we weren't
and I was like,
familiar with before.
That would be really interesting.
Independence was a frontier town made to accommodate merchants and adventurers, beginning the long trek westward. We still had 2/3 of the journey to go, and we were all starting to feel a bit tired from traveling.
What are you doing right now?
Keeping the blood circulating.
The blood circulating?
Keep blood going.
So, tonight we made it to Denver, Colorado, and we're gonna stay here over the night, and tomorrow we're gonna continue with our journey.
Do you know anything about your heritage?
There's kind of a debate whether we're actually Mexican or not. My grandmother says yes, my mother says no. So
This is going to be great.
Have you felt any change in your life since he became president?
not really any difference, but you know, just seeing the news and seeing how stupid people are reacting is just, it kind of sickens my stomach. You know what I'm saying? Because nobody nowadays is one certain race. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Nobody's white, nobody's black, we're all mixed. I mean, you know, ever since, you know, people have been able to marry whoever they want.
Yeah.
You know, we've kind of all just, you know, there's not just one race. We're all pretty much mixed mutts.
It was upon this dream that the American values were based: individual freedom, self-reliance, hard work, and equality of opportunity. Unfortunately, nowadays, Americans struggle to find the last. The gap between the rich and the poor keeps widening. The wealthiest 1% of American households own 40% of the country's wealth. The top 20 own 90%, leaving only 10% of the pie for the remaining 80% of the people. Among the richest nations, the United States ranks number 1 for its inequality of wealth. Nevertheless, this hasn't stopped immigrants from achieving the American dream. More than half of the 25 most valuable tech companies in the US have a founder that was either a first or second generation American. As these companies grow, they're adding more jobs, many of which go to Americans, proving that immigration is actually good for the country, as it plays an integral part in the nation's economic growth.
The American dream still lives.
Yeah.
I think that it's a real, you can leave your country and do something in America, and you can actually do something. And no matter what anyone tells me, the American dream lives. Like, I'm a product of it.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer.
I know a lot of people that moved to America because they wanted to have a better life, but then they come to America and they realize how tough it is. And sometimes those dreams get crushed. But as I've grown, moving from so many cities, I would say just do it. Because even if you have a bad experience, just the fact that you change settings, and you put yourself in another country with another language, and you get to experience another culture, that's something you can never take back. Like, that's opening your mind and your heart and your spirit and making you more understanding towards people and other cultures.
After 16 hours of traveling west through Denver, we arrived in Brigham, Utah, the land of the cowboys.
Good morning, everybody. Today we are in Utah. Your turn.
We're in Utah.
Where do you think you're from? Like, from your mom and your dad's side, what information do you have so far?
Like Scotland, probably. England. I think there's a bunch of England.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you like the most about Utah?
Probably just like the landscape. There's a lot of hikes and everything, and I like the mountains. I feel like safe being in like an area like this.
Yeah.
Say hi to our new friends.
He's so cute.
There's a really like big like religious like kind of like dominance here like in Utah.
So you're not Mormon?
No, I don't identify as Mormon, and so
your parents are not Mormon?
No, they are.
They
and
are.
so a lot of like stores aren't open on Sundays, and like if people have like tattoos or like a different hairstyle, like they just kind of look at you different for it.
In 1852, European settlers, directed by Mormon pioneer Brigham Young, began to move to these lands.
You know, I think that it kind of like creates a culture, like everybody going to church and listening to the same things and just like all having like the same sort of views on things. And I'm like not trying to like talk bad on like the church or anything. So immigration, I mean, I'm for it. I think the more diverse people we have in the country, the better. I think it'll make all of us better. We can learn from each other.
Sounds like you need to go to New York City.
I want to go.
Sounds like it.
Monday, August 21st of 2017 was the day we had scheduled to leave Utah. On that same day, the Great American Eclipse was about to take place. We decided to stop in Moab, Utah by the Arches National Park. Around 11 a.m., we laid on the red-stone earth, and for 2 long minutes, we witnessed the moon gently cover the sun. The solar eclipse was visible within a band that crossed the entire United States. Strangers from all over the country gathered together. Multiple marriage proposals took place, and even a few planned weddings. For almost 2 minutes, this so politically divided nation became one. For the first time in almost a year, the media and most news outlets were all united to tell the same story.
We just arrived to Truckee in California.
We've gone coast to coast. We left New York a couple of weeks ago and we've driven all the way in an RV across to California.
We made it!
Across America.
What do you love the most about Truckee?
The scene is just so beautiful here. I like the nature of the, everything.
What's your favorite food?
Probably Mexican food.
Yeah.
One thing we've been learning as we've rolled
Across America,
pretty much everyone's favorite food is Mexican.
Yeah.
What's your heritage? What do you think it is?
I'm half Mexican and half Korean.
And you don't know, that's all you know?
Yeah.
And where's the Korean? Your mum's side or your dad's
My
side?
mom's side.
Your mum's side?
Yeah.
Do you know what's your heritage or your background?
I think Mexican. Both of my parents are Mexican, and maybe some Spanish from my grandpa.
Okay.
On my mom's side.
What's your favorite food?
Korean or Mexican?
I like Korean food. Korean food's pretty good.
Korean food's good.
Why did your parents move to this country?
They moved here to give their daughters a better life. It was hard for them because my dad had been here a few times before. My mom, it was her first time coming here, and she was actually pregnant with her first child. And she was super young. She was only 17, and my dad was 22. I would say definitely one of the biggest downfalls, at least for my mom, was not having her family around. Just not being able to see her mom every single day, which she was used to.
After a 2,500-mile journey in the winter of 1846, a group of American pioneers known as the Donner Party arrived in Truckee in their wagons. Trapped by an early snowfall, women, men, and children were stranded and starved for months. According to a legend, some of the pioneers resorted to cannibalism. Only 45 of the original 89 members of the party survived in one of the greatest tragedies in the history of westward migration. Chinese, German, Irish, Italian, French, Scandinavians all came to this land with big dreams and not much in their pockets. Some came in search of religious freedom and others escaping famine and political oppression. But they all worked together and with much sacrifice and perseverance built the United States of America.
What is your full name?
Bobby Burns.
Bobby Burns.
My Indian name is Seven Arrow Warrior.
Seven Arrow Warrior.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you know your heritage?
Yeah.
Yeah?
My father is from Fort Bidwell, California.
Yeah.
And he's a Paiute Indian. My mother is from this reservation, and she's a full-blooded Paiute Indian. So that makes me a full-blooded Paiute, but half of me is on Pimber Lake Reservation, and my other half on my dad's side is from Fort Bidwell, California. Yeah, it's very spiritual, the lake. This lake was formed from the great Lahontan Lake. When Lahontan Lake dried up, that's how this lake was formed. But this lake is fed by Lake Tahoe.
It looks a bit lower than it should be, or
it went down, but it was lower than what it is right now. Since we had a great big runoff for what? May, June, July, 3 months. And that's when the lake started coming back.
It's been sitting low for a while?
Yeah, and that used to feed another lake over here they call Winnemucca Lake. Right now, there's on every reservation, there's not too much full-blooded Indians. They're all being mixed, half, maybe half another tribe or half this tribe, or a lot of mixtures going on.
As the first European pioneers advanced west, they also fought with and forced the native tribes out of their own lands. More than half of the Native American population died in war or by diseases spread by the conquering Europeans. From 1776 to the present, the United States has confiscated 1.5 billion acres from North America's native people. Today, only 2% of the land belongs to the Native Americans. But even these lands are not owned by the natives, as the reservations are federal lands legally owned by the federal government, which means that the Native Americans living in the reservations cannot take mortgages out of their own homes because they don't own the land. It took us 18 days and 3,500 miles to cross the US in an RV. We followed the path of the first American pioneers and ended up meeting a direct descendant of the original inhabitants of these lands. We delivered 400 DNA tests, and now we had to wait for the results to come back.
Hello, hello.
Oh, that's a good hug.
You're a busy man? So good to see you guys. Are you excited?
Of course, why not?
Are you guys ready? Sorry, dramatic effect. No, I'm just
We
kidding.
are about to reveal. I might need a second.
That's all right.
I forgot the password.
All right, so you ready to see some of the results?
You ready to know where you come from? Of course, the image has to freeze. We're gonna have to call her again.
I really hope that our results are very similar.
But I wouldn't mind being unique.
I know.
No, you are. You are unique.
I wouldn't be surprised though if they're different, because even though we're sisters and we're very similar in many aspects of our life, like physically there are differences. Like I'm much fairer skinned than she is. She can lay out all
You
day.
get freckles and I don't at all.
All right, are you ready to see where you come from?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Ooh! Oh, look at that. Nigerian. What a surprise! But that's nice though. Scandinavian area?
35.6% Scandinavian. That's what I was kind of guessing in the car. Oh, wow.
Irish, Scottish, and Welsh.
44.9%. Wow.
44. Is it English?
29% English.
53.7% English.
What?
I've fallen out of my seat.
Hang on, did you have any
18.8 Scandinavian. She had no English.
I didn't have any English.
Wait a minute. You sure this is?
Oh my God! What? Read it out loud.
I'm a Jewish, 13.1%. Wow.
Jewish.
So 4.6%. Wow.
It's not like I'm not against nobody or I'm proud or not proud or something like that, but how come?
What's it coming up?
Okay.
Read it to us. Come on, don't leave us in expense. Come on. What's it saying?
25% Japanese.
25% Japanese?
Yeah.
Oh, look, I like the music, West African. Oh, wait, look at that.
You have Asian.
Chinese, and Vietnamese.
You have South America.
22% Chinese and Vietnamese.
Hi, neighbor. Come on.
So we have the same like cousin? We related to each other?
Well, that's awesome because it says, oh, I'm Amazonian. So that makes me an African Viking who's Amazonian.
Yes, that's pretty cool.
So I just discovered that I am 81.4% Central American.
American is 51.8%, which is Central America.
11.1% from Europe, 4.7% from Africa, and 1.4% from Middle East.
And then it says North Africa at 3.4.
North African, okay.
And Middle Eastern at 2.8.
That's good.
That's so great. You are a mix.
Oh my God, that is so weird. I would have never ever guessed.
What's your surprise?
I'd say probably the Africa part. Just yeah. I was gonna say the Middle Eastern. I've actually gotten that a lot.
So you're 28% West Asian?
27 European, Baltic, and Balkan.
What about Russian? I thought I married to a Russian woman.
Central American.
44.3% Central American.
So
28% Native American, 15.7% from Indigenous Amazonian, 12% Eskimo or Inuit, which is the same thing. So my friend, you're 100% American.
No mix.
We're cousins, you see, Colombia?
Yeah.
We're cousins, right there. Central American, you're more Central American than I am. How do you feel?
No, I didn't think about anything about Central American would come up.
No.
Uh-huh.
But isn't it beautiful? Like you are the whole continent. You're from the north of the continent to the south of the continent.
How do you feel about this?
I didn't know nothing about this. Surprising. And here I was thinking I was more Native American than, less Central American.
Listen, we have interviewed so many people on this documentary, and you're the only one that is 100% American.
Like for all these people that we meet who go on and talk things, you're the real American. And when I say that, the continent of America. Like,
Yeah.
All right.
Which is very beautiful,
Yeah.
Bobby.
Do you feel any different about yourself now?
Well, I thought I was Irish, Mexican, and Spanish.
Yeah, yeah. You're Central
But,
American.
okay, that throws me for okay. All right.
All right, so really quickly, what is your take on immigration in general?
People come to our country because obviously there's issues in theirs. You know, they come for a better life, and that's what we're founded on. You know, America was supposed to be a better life for our ancestors and everybody who came to America.
I feel like nobody is from here. Personally, everybody has something different in them, I think, and I think it's not okay for somebody to say that somebody shouldn't be here just because they don't look a certain way or something.
America, who's America? America is a foreign people.
Yeah.
They don't want the foreign people, the country will be empty. Okay, come the Indian people, come back and take your land, and that's it.
I feel like everybody deserves a place to live. Like, it doesn't matter what race you are, as long as you're a good person.
We both, our background, we're not American. The only who have a right to America is the Indian people. They have a right to kick us out or to keep us.
I agree.
Some people, like the bad people that's coming in, that's going to be the bad part. You don't know, who's who.
Yeah.
Not unless they tell you, I'm a bad person coming into the United States, or something like that. But a lot of them that's coming into the United States are trying to look to better themselves, look for a good job and stuff like that, look for a better home, might as well say.
I think my biggest advice to people that want to come to America to migrate is just find out the laws of the United States of America. What does it take to become a citizen? And if you're willing to do that, come on over and join us and make a great life for yourself. But don't be sneaky and don't do things that could possibly hurt you and your future generations after that.
Regardless of where you go, there's always going to be someone who's going to judge you. And a lot of people do have a hard time with coping with that. And, even with just friendships, relationships, work, with anything in life. So that was my suggestion, just to be an open mind and always remain balanced. Practice balance, being happy, and just enjoying life and taking things one day at a time.
It doesn't matter what passport you have, this is ink on a paper. This paper doesn't change who you are. Whether American, Spanish, religion, Christian, Muslim, the paper is nothing. Who you are, speak of who you are. Screw you, blow it out. Whatever inside of you, don't be scared.
Just keep fighting, but I know it's probably hard whenever you feel like it's kind of like the world's against you in some ways. A lot of people might be against you. But on the flip side of that, there are lots of people who are supportive, and that there is hope, and then there are people that are rooting for those people, that they will better their lives.
We are one nation under God. But, how can they say we're one nation when there are two parties, the Republican and Democratic parties, and they're divided? How can you say that?
Yeah.
When you hear a news story on TV, you hear the race associated with the person, like if there's a crime committed or some sort of event, black man does such and such with white man,
or sometimes maybe they purposely leave it out because there's this tension about it. So I don't know. It's used influentially.
I think sometimes in scenarios where it's kind of irrelevant, you know, where at the end of the day that part doesn't really matter because we're all one big family, you know, and we should be.
It's always better to get different salad. When you make salad, you know, cucumber and tomato by itself, okay, not bad. You mix up, it's salad, it's good. Flavors, this spice, same. Why don't we just live together in a peace? Arabic food, tradition, beautiful. Irish, I don't know, but I'm sure they have something good. Polish, Russian, combine, get the best, and learn the best what they have in a, like let's say, manners, behavior, and erase the worst.
52 days later, after crossing the country twice and with 7,000 miles driven, our journey was coming to an end.
After 2 months on the road, tonight is our last night in this RV. It has been our home for the past 2 months. We have so many fun memories of all the places we've been across America.
We were back in New York City, our original point of departure, the first city that embraced me when I first moved to this country 16 years ago. The Big Apple that never sleeps and is proudly home to a melting pot of unique cultures, customs, and ethnicities. A symbol of America's migratory roots. Proof that different cultures can live side by side and make a great city thrive. When we started this journey, we didn't know who we were going to meet. The news had been portraying such a divided country, a fearful and angry nation that had very little acceptance of the other, the foreign, or the unknown. But after 2 months of traveling across the US, we saw a very different side of America. Everywhere we went, we were welcomed with kindness and respect. Even those who didn't want to partake in our project wished us the best. We learned that as different as we all seem to be, in the end, we all want to break bread, to be happy and to be loved. And even though we might have very different political views, our humanity still brings us all back.